Hey, what's up? It's Y, the team captain of the CMU Rodeo team and your host for this show.
And I'm Brandon Edwards, head coach for the CMU Rodeo team and your co-host. Now, the Mavericks ended the season on a strong note. Our ladies made a redemption streak for all the trouble the team had at the last rodeo at Utah State University. And the last rodeo of the fall season was hosted by Utah State University Eastern in Price, Utah. The women's team ended the season strong in several events.
In this show, we will recap all of the thrills, spills, and triumph from each weekend's rodeo. We're bringing you the most exciting moments from the arena. From heart-pounding bull rides to stunning barrel runs, we'll relive the highs, the heartbreaks, and the jaw-dropping action that kept fans on the edge of their seats. Whether you missed the show or just want to experience it all over again, we've got you covered. Saddle up and let's dive into the wildest rides of the Utah State University Eastern Rodeo. This is Rodeo Recorded. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Wiley Mitchell.
And I'm Brandon Edwards. Let's take a deep dive into the USU Eastern Rodeo.
Now, the breakaway roping went pretty well for the Lady Mavericks. Shea Grogan roped her calf right out of the box and stopped the clock at 3.3 seconds. This was good enough to place her fourth in the round. She caught a little too much calf, which gave her a no time in the short go, but she now has points on the board in 2 events. I also caught in the breakaway, and my time was a 3.7, which got me 6th place. I misread my calf and broke the barrier in the short round, but I was proud of the shot regardless. They tacked a 10-second penalty to my 2.4-second run. Haley Gibbs, of CSI, won the rodeo with a 5.1-second average.
The team roping was not an event the Mavericks shined in at Price, Utah, and we all had some tough luck and didn't get anyone back to the short round. It was a pretty wide open weekend as a whole. Will Cutler and Cole Gunter, both of Idaho State University, were high callback with a 7.7-second run. With a lot of misses, the 10th place team actually came back with a 16.1-second time in the short go. Only 5 teams caught there, and it wasn't just the Mavericks that had a hard time this weekend. Cutler and Gunter dominated both runs, however, which led to their average win.
The Mavericks picked up more points in the goat tying than any other event. The score was set at 145 feet. Now, keep in mind that a standard score is set at 100 foot, so the horses had a long way to run to that stake. Justice Jones handled the bad goat that many people would have struggled with and placed second with an 8.8 in her second round. Her second round was a bit more catastrophic. She recovered well from a fall to still get points in the round and placed 4th in the average. Shea Grogan had a hot weekend in the goats as well. She placed 6th in the first round with a 9.4. In the short go, she put together a nice run that tied her for 2nd place. Sam Donovan took the win yet again with a 17.4-second average. That still impresses me so much because the score was 45 foot longer than normal.
Now, our Saddle Bronc rider didn't have any success in Price, Utah, and while I was rooting very hard for Brian Evans to win the rodeo and get a perfect streak of all 5, he gave it a shot, but he only placed 3rd in the first round and wasn't able to pull a score in the second round to keep that streak alive. That went to CSI, which was Josh Dobbins representing the Golden Eagles, and he won the average for the first time this year. Now, barrels went a lot better for our team than it had in Logan, and unfortunately, we had a lot of time to worry about it because this pattern was ginormous. It was the largest barrel pattern I think I've ever seen in my life. The NRA rulebook says the barrel pattern can be set to a proportional length to the arena, and that arena is very, very big. It's huge, and actually had some complaints later on that we did not get WPRA approval for setting the stakes so large, so we'll see what it looks like next year. We had 2 ladies with horses that got their fair share of cardio workout for the day. Wiley Mitchell and Gus drew up last in the drag in the first round. Gus was trying a little hard than he did at Logan, got a little sticky in the heavy ground. Duo placed 7th in long go, which was just out of the points, but did make it back to the short round, where they made a redemption run on the better side of the ground. Mitchell cleaned up her time by about a half a second, the best run I've seen the duo make since our second rodeo in Pocatello, and Kaylin Beauvais made the short round as well. The freshman from Alaska came in right on the cusp in the 10th place hole and laid down 2 solid, clean runs, but just out of it. Could not get any points out of the weekend, but exceptionally proud to see her come in as a freshman and make 2 clean runs and her 2nd short round of the year on that horse Shooter. Now, Utah Valley University cowgirl Sadie Mendenhall took the average win in a really tight race. Never thought I'd say this, but she had 2 smoking runs with a 19.62 and a 19.25. Yeah, that indeed is correct when we read the screen. A 19.25 was the fastest single time of the weekend. And when I said it was a big pin, I wasn't lying.
Overall, our Mavs had a pretty alright weekend to end the season. Now that we've looked at each event individually, let's take a look at this week's Short Go photo.
Good weekend for the Mavs as we had 2 breakaway ropers, 2 barrel racers, and 2 goat tires all in the short round. Shea Grogan was reserve all-around for the weekend, and Wiley Mitchell was on the board in the top 4 for the weekend's all-around as well. As a team, the Lady Mavericks were a little further down on the list than they'd hoped, but moving in the right direction and at least still gathered some points. Ladies totaled 155 on the leaderboard, plus Wiley became the first person in the region to have points on the leaderboard in every single event offered to women.
Now we've talked about all the statistics and the nitty-gritty details, but before we leave, let's talk about some of our favorite moments for the weekend. I must compliment Shea Grogan. The senior hasn't had the first season that she was hoping for, but this weekend she really pulled it together. I was really impressed with how she handled the pressure in the goat tying and with how beautiful her breakaway loop was in that first round. I'm glad she ended the season strong, and I'm hopeful she'll carry that momentum into the spring. And on a different note, I want to compliment my horse, Gus. USUE and CSI are the only 2 rodeos that hold their barrel slack on Saturday morning. My little man had to make 2 breakaway runs and 2 barrel runs in one day. And as it was mentioned earlier, that arena was really big. So one of my favorite parts of the weekend was how well he handled that. What was your favorite moment from the weekend?
You know, I got to give credit to Justice Jones. I know she stumbled in the short round, but she went down hard, and it was a nearly instantaneous recovery to come back. Could have cost her a lot, but still ended up popping back for, top 3 place in the average, and was very well deserved.
Yeah, she did a really good job. Well, that's a wrap for this week's Rodeo Roundup. We've seen incredible victories, heart-stopping misses, and the kind of grit that makes rodeo one of the most thrilling sports around. Thanks for joining us as we relived the highs and lows of the arena, and don't forget to tune in to the next episode for the finale. The next episode will be the last one of the season, and you don't want to miss it. I'm your host, Wiley Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Brandon Edwards.
And if you enjoyed watching this week, why stop now? We'll see you on the next episode of Rodeo Recorded.